I made a video in the car yesterday about this German word, Schadenfreude, which means to take pleasure or seek comfort in the misfortunes of another. And I've just been thinking about it again actually, Schadenfreude, to find pleasure in the misfortunes of another, in the sufferings of somebody else. Because I was reading this article, I think it was in Scientific American, but it might have been New Scientist, about the relationship between Schadenfreude and racism, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, basically it was a study that was carried out in, I think it was carried out in Holland, and what they did was they got two matched groups of participants. You know, so these people have been tested to have, so they had broadly the same kind of personality traits. And with the first group, what they did was they presented them with this checklist of the names of nationalities, European nationalities I think they were. So it's Italy, Germany, Spain, France, Turkey, you know, all Poland, the UK, different countries, and then lists of adjectives that you could describe those, the inhabitants of those countries according to certain kinds of character types. So it's basically a measure of stereotyping. You know, so you could judge England according to, I don't know, mean-spiritedness or politeness or insincerity or whatever, you know, those kind of things, or Poland in terms of, you know, whatever. Anyway, the whole list of these things, and then took the averages, and what you got from that was a set of figures about the, well, at least within this group, about the stereotypical views they held about these various countries. So far so good. And then they did this, they took a second group, which, as I say, were personality matched to the first group, and they did the same thing again, but before they did it, they primed this second group by giving them access to some information about football. They didn't tell them it was connected. I mean, there's ways of doing this so that the group doesn't know that they're being primed. But they were primed with information about this football tournament, it was actually, in which a lot of European countries were participating, including Germany and Holland, where the test was being held. And if you don't know, in football there's quite a lot of rivalry between Holland and Germany, football rivalry. And in this particular tournament, Holland had got through to the semi-finals, but Germany had been knocked out in an earlier round. So, in theory, this group of Dutch people who were being tested, you know, they might have a sense of pride that their own country has got through to the semi-finals, but in all likelihood, they'd also be having a little bit of a sense of Schadenfreude, that Germany, their rivals, have, as I say, been knocked out. So that was what they were primed with first, and then they got to do this this checklist again. You know, comparing countries to these various adjectives. And for all the countries, the average was about the same. You know, the average for Spain, UK, Italy, all those countries was the same. But the ones for Germany had all been shifted towards a more extreme end of the stereotyping. So the Germans were seen as being more militaristic, more authoritarian, more humorless. You know, all of the kind of negative stereotypes that people have of Germans and Germany had all been increased amongst this second group, which could only have been a result of this priming, because that was the only essential difference of the experiences they'd had. And the theory that they had to connect these things is down to this thing, Schadenfreude. And what they were saying, these experimenters were saying, is that because Schadenfreude is like an unacceptable emotion, you know, we're not supposed to feel pleasure at the misfortunes of another. We all do, we can't help it, but we're not supposed to. We feel bad about it, we don't talk about it. We all, you know, we're a bit sheepish about it, and we might even deny it of ourselves. You know, we might, yeah, we'd probably find ways to hide it or disguise it, or even to deny it outright. And there's a number of ways in which we do that. Apparently, you know, we might, you know, say that we're experiencing some other kind of emotion, or, as was suggested in this article, what we might do is kind of start to develop a method where we're saying they kind of deserve it. They kind of deserve it. You know, whoever this person is that's upset us and that subsequently has a terrible accident, we kind of rationalise our good feelings by saying, ah, well, they deserved it, you see. And on a kind of global, or at least a nationalistic scale, that plays out in terms of racism. And what had happened, according to this, as I say, this analysis, is that these Dutch people had all felt this sense of Schadenfreude at the German team being kicked out. Felt a little bit sheepish about that, so validated their own feelings by saying, well, the Germans deserved it because they're a bunch of militaristic, humorless control freaks, you know, and those people deserve to be kicked out of football tournaments. That's the kind of logic. You know, rather than admit to their own slightly guilty pleasure, they transfer that onto the person that they're, or in this case, the whole nation, the group of people that they're feeling Schadenfreude about. They deserved it. They had it coming. Interesting. Anyway, see if I can find the article, I'll put it in the description box. It was pretty good, actually, I thought. Schadenfreude.